My HOA president stole my land and built her mansion on it. That's exactly what happened when this power-hungry woman decided my cabin was the perfect spot for her dream house. She thought money and connections could make me disappear. Boy, was she wrong. What followed wastes most insane battle of my life with twists I never saw coming. This woman seemed untouchable, controlling around her, but everyone has their breaking point. I'm about to tell you how one hidden discovery changed everything, and why you should never underestimate the quiet guy with nothing left to lose. Comment below where you're watching from. You know, I never thought I'd be the guy fighting in HOA. I mean, who dreams of that kind of drama, right? But life has this funny way of throwing curveballs when you least expect them. My name is Gabriel Torres, and 8 months ago I inherited my grandfather's cabin in what is to be a quiet little corner of Willowbrook Estates. Used to be quiet anyway. The cabin itself, nothing fancy, just a modest 2-bedroom place my grandfather, Roberto, built with his own hands back in 1979. 45 years of memory soaked into those wooden walls. You know, the kind of place where you could hear birds singing instead of traffic honking, where the biggest drama was whether the raccoons would get into the garbage again. I'd moved there after burning out from my graphic design career. You know, that feeling when you're just done. When does the city noise feel like it's crushing your soul? That was me. Just me and my cat Rusty trying to find some peace. But apparently peace wasn't on the agenda for my new neighbor. Enter Cordelia Ashford. And trust me, you'll never forget this name by the end of this story. Picture this. A 48-year-old woman who looked like she stepped out of a luxury magazine. Always perfectly dressed, always perfectly composed, and perfectly convinced that the world revolved around her. She was the kind of person who'd wear heels to check the mailbox and somehow make it look effortless. Cordelia had been the HOA president for 3 years, and let me tell you, she ran that place like her personal kingdom. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Cordelia wasn't just an HOA president. She was building this massive presence as an INFLUENCER.34000 followers watching her every move, hanging on her every word about sustainable living and environmental harmony. Her handle was something like Sustainable Living Cordelia, and she was constantly posting about her latest eco projects and community improvements. The irony of what happens next, or you'll see, the thing about my grandfather's cabin was the location. And I mean the location. We're talking about 2.3 acres on the highest elevation in the entire Willowbrook Estates community. Perfect southern exposure. These gorgeous mature oak trees that had been there longer than most of the houses. And this natural drainage that kept everything green year-round. It was without exaggeration the most beautiful spot in the neighborhood. My grandfather knew what he was doing when he picked this land. I'll tell you that much. Cordelia's current house, nice enough, but it had blocked views and a smaller lot. Every morning she'd drive past my cabin on her way out, and I started noticing her slowing down, staring. First I thought maybe she was just being neighborly. Boy, was I wrong about that. The suggestion started in January. Cordelia would stop by, always with this sweet smile and this concerned voice, mentioning how the cabin didn't quite fit the community aesthetic. February brought the new HOA guidelines about architectural harmony. Funny how those guidelines seemed specifically written to target everything about my grandfather's cabin. The paint color was too rustic. The landscaping was insufficiently manicured, and apparently grandfather's hand-built wooden fence was inconsistent with modern design standards. Then March happened. March was when Cordelia dropped all pretense and showed up on my porch with a folder full of papers and this look in her eyes that I can only describe as hungry. "Gabriel," she said, settling into my grandfather's old rocking chair without "I want to be direct with you. I want to build my dream eco-mansion right here. This location is perfect for what I have in mind." She opened a folder and showed me these elaborate architectural drawings. We're talking 8,000 square ft of pure luxury, solar panels, an infinity pool, a tennis court, and a guest house designed as a content creation studio. The whole thing was designed to be the ultimate backdrop for her influencer content. "I'm prepared to offer you $180,000 for your property," she continued, sliding a contract across the small table between us. I almost choked on my coffee. $180,000 for land worth at least $850,000. "Mrs. Ashford," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "This cabin has been in my family for decades. It's not for sale." Her smile never wavered, but something shifted in her eyes, something cold. "The cabin is an eyesore. Gabriel, my mansion will increase everyone's property values. Think about the community. This land deserves a home that matches our community standards." The way she said community made it sound like I was personally responsible for owning everyone's lives by existing. "With all due respect," I replied, "this cabin has been here longer than your HOA. The answer is no." That's when things got interesting. The monthly HOA meeting was the following week, and Cordelia Medusa I knew I was expected to attend. 47 residents packed into the Willowbrook Community Center, and there was Cordelia with her PowerPoint presentation. I kid you not, she had slides prepared like this with some corporate boardroom. The first slide, property values analysis with charts. and graphs showing how non-conforming structures affected neighborhood worth. The second, a Fatoof, my cabin labeled before with red arrows pointing to every problem area. The third, a 3D rendering of her mansion labeled after the future, showing this gleaming paradise of sustainable luxury. The fourth slide hit me like a punch to the gut. Projected value increased 23% for surrounding homes. For the good of our community, Cordelia announced, clicking to a final slide. We need to remove this obstacle, Mr. Torres. I'm offering you $180,000 for your grandfather's property. This land deserves a home that matches our community standards. Every eye in that room turned to me. I felt like I was on trial for the crime of inheriting a cabin. The silence stretched on forever as I stood up on shaky legs. Mrs. Ashford, I said, my voice carrying further than I expected. With all due respect, this cabin has been here longer than your HOA. The answer is no. The silence that followed was deafening. Then Cordelia smiled. But it wasn't the sweet smile from our porch conversation. This smile was cold, calculated, and predatory. I hope you won't regret this decision, Mr. Torres. But what really made my blood run cold wasn't her threat. It was the way Deputy Mayor Richard Williams, who'd been sitting quietly in the back row, nodded approvingly when she looked his way. As I walked out of that meeting, a question kept echoing in my mind. Was I facing more than just one power-hungry HOA president? Type corrupt. If you think this goes deeper than just one power-hungry HOA president, what happened next taught me something I never wanted to learn. How quickly your life can become a living nightmare when someone with power decides you're in their way. The harassment started exactly 1 week after that HOA meeting. And when I say harassment, I don't mean the occasional dirty look or passive-aggressive comment. This was systematic, calculated psychological warfare designed to make me miserable enough to sell my cabin and disappear. Looking back, I should have seen it coming, but honestly, I was naive enough to think that rejecting Cordelia's offer would be the end of it. Man, was I wrong about that. Monday morning, 7:30 a.m., I'm enjoying my coffee on the porch when this guy in an HOA vest shows up with a clipboard and an attitude. Grass violation, he announces, scribbling furiously. Height exceeds community standards. I stare at my lawn, the same lawn I'd mowed 2 days earlier, and I'm thinking, what standards? But apparently grass over 2 and 12 in was now a federal offense, worthy of a $200 fine. Wednesday brought another violation, improper vehicle parking. My truck was in the exact same spot it had been for 8 months, but suddenly it was a problem. Friday's violation was my personal favorite, unauthorized exterior modification. Want to know what I'd done? Clean my windows, apparently. Sparkling clean glass was too reflective and created a visual disturbance for neighboring properties. By the end of that first week, I was staring at $1,200 in fines for the crime of existing. And let me tell you, when you're a freelance graphic designer still rebuilding your client base after a career burnout, $1,200 isn't pocket change, but Cordelia was just getting warmed up. Week 2 brought the service cutoffs. Trash pickup was suspended due to access issues, which was interesting since the garbage truck had accessed my driveway just fine for 8 months. The community Wi-Fi password was changed without notice, cutting off my internet access. Road maintenance started skipping my section of the street, leaving me with potholes that could swallow a small car. Then came the surveillance that really creeped me out. I noticed the Commod's first brand new security cameras installed on HOA property, but angled directly at my cabin. And I mean directly. These weren't general area monitoring cameras. They were posicioned to capture every window, every door, every corner of my property. The angle in one of them gave a clear view straight into my bedroom window. That's when I realized this wasn't just harassment. This was an invasion of privacy. That's also when I met Dorothy Whitman. And thank God I did. Mrs. Whitman was 72 years old.